Hey there, this is Mark Gruber along with my girlfriend Derek Cuntley from America's Really Old Stories. You are about to hear the most listened to exclusively JFK assassination podcast, and one of my favorites, the Lone Gunman podcast. Now, here's Rob and Joe.
Section 107 of the Fair Use Act of 1976 provides protection to use copyrighted material for research, analysis, education, and commentary purposes. We here at Loose Moose Productions reserve that right. Now, on with the show. Here's Joe B. and the Triple B. Hey, Aunt Udine, how's things in Texas?
Everything is going to hell down here in Texas.
Hands on Triple B and Joe B. Joe B and the Triple B, baby. Triple B and Joe B. Rock on, get Joe Morelli. Triple B and Joe B. Joe B and the Triple B, baby. Triple B and Joe B. Rock on, get Joe Morelli. We're coming in. Oh, and it's seeking the truth. About JFK. Here's the long-going podcast crew. And here we go.
And here we go. Rob, you're muted.
Hello, and welcome to the show. This is episode number 295, and if you're good at reading lips, you know what I just said. And anyway, this is the Martin film paradox, is what we're talking about here today. And we happen to have a couple of very special guests with us, Alex Harris and Kenneth Zedeker. And, of course, my handsome co-host there, Joe Borelli. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Rob? What's up, everyone in the chat? And Alex and Kenneth, it is great to have you guys on.
Yes, welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome to have you here. And I know we've been trying to get you on here for a while, Alex. And it's an added bonus. We got Kenneth here tonight as well.
Yeah.
And from the top of the show, I just want to let everybody know about the November conference, the JFK Lancer Conference coming up. It's going to be, is it the 22nd to the 24th this year, Kenneth?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I got the information. What hotel is it at?
Hold on.
To put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Marriott.
It's at the Dallas Marriott in downtown.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the link for all this can be found down in underneath the video in the bio section there, the link. And if you use our code Gunman10, you can save 10% off your ticket prices. And
Yep.
Thank you.
some of the featured speakers already this year is Alex, who we have here. What are you going to be talking about, Alex, this year? If you want to preview.
That I'm still trying to figure out. But as of right now, what I have planned is I'll be speaking about some film synchronizations I've been doing, which would be really interesting because I haven't seen anyone do it before.
Yeah, we'll get more into that a little later because I'm sure we
Yeah.
got some people that want to help you out that are local there to Dallas. Robert Groden, of course, good friend of you guys. Janet Groden, his wife. Bob Nelson, Willie O'Halloran, Dirty Dick Russell, Larry Hancock, David Boylan, Mike Swanson, and Daniel Sheehan. So far, a very healthy lineup for sure. So get your tickets now. Reserve your spots. It's assassinationconference.com. And like I said, the link, you can find the link below. Just click it, follow it, and get your tickets early. So, Joe, let's get right into the show here, buddy.
And you never know. One of us could be there, too. You can hang with the boys or a boy.
Yeah, you might see Joe crash on a scooter again if you're lucky this year.
Hey, about that, I see this here.
Yes, you've healed quite nicely.
I heal quite nicely. These are others.
Well, not really, but
No, this
Wow.
one. Yeah.
that's why your nickname is Scars.
Yeah. It is. But I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to do a scooter ride in front of the Marriott with all the smoking section to see. And I might even do a recreation of one of the motorcycle riders that goes up the knoll. If I could figure out how to jump a curb and just go up the knoll, throw the scooter down, and go behind the fence, look for people.
There you go.
Do the reenactment, Alex. I'm volunteering here.
And he's very cheap, Alex. You know.
Yeah. I'm free, actually. It's for my confidence. So.
And well, before we kick it off, there was a death recently. Donald Sutherland, the guy who played the Mr. X character in the movie JFK, recently passed away. And I know this is probably pretty stupid to say, but if you haven't seen the movie JFK by Oliver Stone from 1991 yet, you know, go give it a watch. It's a great movie. You know, it really is. And just to highlight a little bit of the Donald Sutherland part from it, we're going to play a short clip here from the movie, and which will get us a copyright infringement, I'm sure. But that's okay, because Donald Sutherland's worth it, because he's a great actor who did tons of great movies. JFK was just one of them. And so here's one of his iconic parts. It's like a 1.5-minute clip, but check it out. And, you know, pour a little out on the ground. Aunt Udine, pour some Lone Star on the ground for Donald Sutherland. Wow.
Great scene.
Bravo. 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 Now, the real scene's like 7 minutes long. Of course, I didn't want to play all of it there, but
Yeah.
you get a little taste of it. But anyway, yeah, R.I.P. Rest in peace, sir. You lived a good, long life, and you entertained millions and millions, and we'll continue to do so as long as everybody has internet and YouTube's around and DVDs. You never know.
And Rob.
Yes, sir.
So probably I want to share a quick picture and story about Donald Sutherland too, not about JFK, but in one of the most classic movies of all time, The Dirty Dozen. Jim Brown, Bronson, what's his first name? I'm blanking.
Charles, or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, sure. I think so. And so there were like 12 people that were essentially facing life in prison. They did a secret mission, and they were undercover. So Donald Sutherland had to play a general, and like walked around, inspected the troops, and it was just so funny. He was such a fool, and it was just a great scene. This picture here has him turning around and making a face at his fellow soldiers. He's a great actor, and rest in peace. I'm sure most of the people watching this have much familiarity with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, and he gave us Kiefer, you know, so the line will continue. You know, classics, Lost Boys and Flatliners and all those cool.
24?
Yeah, 24. Rabbit Hole. That was a great series, by the way. If you haven't watched it,
I have not. No.
check it out on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Cheap plug. But anyway, let's get into what our guests are here for, Joe, because
Sure.
it's been a couple months, I would say, that I think Alex and Kenneth brought this home movie to our attention. And the reason being is because it resembled the John T. Martin film. I don't know if do we have that to play real quick or no? What is referring back?
What,
The original?
The original, we do, yes.
Okay, let's take a look at that just to refresh everybody's memory about what was on the John T. Martin film. It's not that long, so
Oh, give me
yeah,
one
Joe.
second.
Yeah,
It is very dark.
this is the 6th floor copy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th floor museum copy, which we have to believe. shout out to, and here we go. It is silent. So Rob and I have narrated in the past. This is him in Minnesota. He's taking a video of his plane, Braniff Airways. Clouds. He is flying. Where, Rob?
Above the flat Earth, on his way to Dallas, Texas. Love Field.
Yes. And we will get into why we think he went to Dallas. And Rob and I had uncovered a lot last year on our journey of the Martins and Lancer. He is now in New Orleans. He is now filming
The bullet hole.
the bullet hole, which is
The
right
window.
here, right here. We'll show you another slide from the Shackelford pictures that is much clearer in a little bit. And his house, it looks like it's midnight. There's General Walker, Edwin Walker on the mailbox there. Can't see it. Show a picture of that as well. You can.
There's a better picture. And is that a building under construction in Dealey Plaza? Or no? Do you guys know? Alex and Kenneth?
I don't believe so.
Because I know there was a building under construction in Dealey Plaza at the time of the assassination.
Yeah, that was the new courthouse where they tried Jack Ruby at.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah. And this is back to in front of Walker's house. There's, I think, 3 or 4 people there. One's walking down the steps. 2 are sitting.
Yes, those are house boys,
Yes.
apparently.
His helpers.
Yes.
And it's so dark, guys. So he's on the plane again, Rob. Where's he going?
Yep. Now we are going over Shreveport, Louisiana, right about now, on our way to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we'll land in New Orleans. And what else do you do when you go to New Orleans? You know, you want to
Go to the zoo?
you go to the zoo. Maybe see some gators,
Yeah.
some pythons, some
Very
possums.
dark. It's darkened significantly. You can't make out anything here.
You know where you are? You're in the jungle.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle. The
It
TL.
gets worse here every day.
And we're going to get to the Oswald Fracas soon in New Orleans after the seal. Or yes.
Yes, that is the sea kitten.
And
There we go.
yes, this will come into play later, people.
That's the statue of Andrew Jackson in Jackson Square.
And there's Oswald on the left. Oh. Here.
Yes.
Bernier here, we believe, right?
Mm,
No.
I don't know.
Okay. We'll see another slide of this, but it's extremely dark. This is the Post-its.
The handbills tore up.
Yes.
And time to get the hell out of New Orleans, apparently.
Yes. And we think he went back to Minnesota after that because, as we will get to shortly, John T. Martin. So the community had like a consensus, right? Before we come to this deep dive, that John Thomas Martin served under Walker and took this film and somehow got Oswald on tape and was a Minuteman, a card-carrying, extreme right-wing Minuteman. And that was pretty much what the community thought when it was released in around 2008. I think it became available to the community, Rob.
Yeah.
Around.
But it turns out he was young enough. He was too young to have served under Walker. He was 17 years old in 1963 when he graduated high school. And, of course, this video was shot the summer after he graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So he couldn't possibly have served in the military under General Walker. But he definitely was a teen in the Minutemen organization. We found the FBI cards, the information checks out. So it is possible that he was corresponding with Walker as somebody who was an extreme right-wing figurehead at that time. Would have been idolized by somebody like a young, impressionable John T. Martin, right? So it's possible that he could have been corresponding with him. So when he gets to Dallas, hey, I'm coming to Dallas. Would it be cool if I came to visit you? Type of thing. And of course, General Walker's like, sure, come on by. So obviously, he was inside the man's house because you're looking out the window that the bullet hole came through. Okay, so obviously, either Walker was there and he talked to him, or his houseboys let him in for whatever reason, and Walker wasn't there. You don't know because Walker's not on the video. But if he was there, it could have been very possible that, this young John T. Martin said, yeah, me and my family are going to New Orleans when we leave here. And, Walker could have said, oh, hey, well, when you get there, go talk to this guy. His name's Guy Bannister, type of thing. And then when he got there, Bannister could have tasked this young kid with, hey, about this time, why don't you go over there on Canal Street and just videotape this guy. There's going to be a fight. Cops are going to be there. Just get it on video, and then bring it back to me, type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. But Rob.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I think we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves because we wanted to give Alex and Kenneth an opportunity to kind of tell what they're up to. I think an oral history is coming up in reenactment. We just want to give a little background, and we're going to show a possible other Martin film that's very similar in sequence to this. But before we finish all the Martin stuff, I feel like we should sandwich it together and do a little tease and let them and go to Martin film 2 at the end. What do you think?
I don't know. You're steering the show now, so go ahead. Where are we going?
It's up to you.
Oh, okay. Well, we were getting there. I just was laying the groundwork for folks who may not know what the John T. Martin film is.
Yep, for sure.
Because not very many people got to see this film until 2008. A very select few ever even saw this film. From the very beginning, only the FBI had seen it. Jim Garrison had seen it. He was sent a copy by John T. Martin. Harold Weisberg and Gary Schoner had copies made of it in 1968. And then I believe he gave it to the HSCA. And then it wasn't seen or heard again until 2008. So not very many people had ever seen this movie. Okay, and it was deemed, not interesting by the FBI, of no value, right? So, when I believe, Kenneth, tell everybody how you came across this other, in quote, Martin home movie.
All right. Well, it started when I was looking for a lot of photographs and films of where Kennedy was killed, and that spanned for years. I would purchase spies and prints. And then I started looking up home films, like on 8mm, people's trips out here. And I found one. I purchased it. I believe it was in 2018. I put it in a drawer, and it just sat there for years. Alex wanted to digitize some of the stuff I had, so I loaned him my films and the equipment. And then one day he calls me up And well, Harold, let him.
So I believe I believe it was actually the day that you dropped the stuff off. I think you had a little extra time, so we went ahead and looked through one of these films to find the scene of Dealey Plaza because you hadn't looked at this film before, right? So I decided since I had an 8mm film viewer, I just started pulling the film off, and we started looking. We eventually found the scene of Dealey Plaza on there, and uh, I was interested in what was on the rest of it, so I started pulling a few more feet of film off. It was about, I'd estimate, 10 feet later on the film, I saw a statue that I recognized from the John T. Martin film. At first, I didn't think it was the same statue because there's, hundreds of statues that are similar to that. Not exactly the same, but then I took a closer look and compared it with the actual Martin film and confirmed it was the same statue. And then I scanned it and found out there's quite a few other things that line up with the Martin film, including General Edwin Walker's house and Dealey Plaza. Well, yeah.
Well, the
But it
sequence,
was,
right? Because it
yeah.
went from Walker and Dallas to New Orleans, and obviously when this film was made in '64, March, I believe, Oswald was already dead, so you're not going to catch a street fracas again, right? But there's a lot of consistencies, like you've been saying, between the Martin film that we just showed, a little over 2 minutes, and the one we're going to show some pieces of in a little bit. So.
Yeah. All right.
And, yeah, so Rob, I have a couple just to give people. Well, actually, you know what? Let's, before we do that and finish with the Martin stuff, let's, Alex, I know you have some exciting events coming up and some things you're working on, or?
Yeah. So as of right now, so I talked before earlier this year, I believe on another podcast, about a reenactment I was planning on doing, and for right now, at least I'm not going to be able to do it this year. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to be able to do it, but for as of right now, it's not possible for me to do it this year, so we'll have to reschedule that for most likely next summer. And you can find the details someplace else. I have it on a blog that I have. But coming up next Tuesday, I'm going to go to the Sixth Floor Museum and do an oral history with them. Kenneth will be taking me.
Nice.
And that'll be a very unique oral history for them, I believe, because I'm the youngest person to have presented at the Lancer conference, at any conference, I believe, and to, do this sort of research as in-depth as I'm doing.
Will you be the youngest ever oral history person?
I believe so.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Heck yeah.
And that's next week, you said?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Awesome.
That is amazing. I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole conundrum of the Martin film is the original Martin film, and why it's so interesting is because of what it contains. And this is filmed prior to the assassination. You have General Walker, the alleged shooting victim of Lee Harvey Oswald, allegedly, and also Lee Oswald on the same roll of film. It's pretty crazy. So when we're talking about this second film that Kenneth found, that Alex digitized, and they were able to finally see what's on it. You know, some pretty crazy similarities come up in this second film that was just marked Dealey Plaza. You know, and we're going to take a look at some of the bits of that movie that was shot, in 1964, or at least on a roll from 1964. So this is going to be post-assassination, but not by much. And at this point, the only people that had seen the Martin film were the FBI. Garrison didn't get it until 66 or 67. So by this time, the only people that have seen the Martin film is the FBI and the Martin family, supposedly, which makes Kenneth's find in this second film all the more interesting when you actually see what's on it. So, Joe, let's take the people through this second, what we're calling the second Martin film.
All right, let me share this. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is no sound. I have take you through the interesting parts. So we are on a bus in Dallas.
We should have put some country music behind this, Joe.
I feel like people like our narration better.
Like some Johnny Cash would be perfect along with this thing.
Well, we're going to get to an interesting part right about here.
Here.
Yeah.
Boom. So this guy's on
And I
the
want
bus.
to point out,
Yeah, go ahead.
I like to point out, this is interesting because it's taken from a bus stopped in front of Walker's house, which seems very odd to me. I don't believe, obviously there wasn't tours on the assassination back then, and I don't believe that the only way that this could have happened was for someone to specifically ask the driver to stop in front of Walker's house.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question without really knowing too much on the layout of downtown Dallas here. General Walker's house was on Turtle Creek Boulevard, right?
I
Is that
believe
very
so.
close to downtown, or is that some kind of like rural area? Because I
Turtle
thought the
Creek-
part of the motorcade came down Turtle Creek, didn't it?
Turtle Creek, yeah, it's close to downtown. It's not exactly, central Dallas, but it's
Right.
not, a rural part of town. It's somewhat in between.
Like a not a sub. It probably is too close to be a suburb, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just smaller part of town, basically.
Because if I'm remembering correctly, part of the motorcade came down Turtle Creek on the way to Dealey
Yeah.
Plaza, So
They
it's
turned
definitely
on,
in between
Harwood
Love
off of
Field.
Turtle Creek.
Right, yeah.
And this is obviously Walker's front yard. You can see the Confederate flag, his mailbox, which will show you a close-up later from both the 6.4 copy and another copy from the 90s. You have the Texas flag here, I believe, guys. Very interesting. Like a couple more seconds of this. It did stop, Alex. You're right. And they continue to... he loves to film buildings here, but we're going to jump to about 2 minutes. And he is on a plane like John T. Martin was. But he is going over what we think is Dallas. What I think is Dallas. We'll see it in a couple seconds here. There it is. He's going to zoom in on it.
This is crazy. We got General Walker's house. We got aerial views.
Yeah.
On both films so far.
And it doesn't seem like the plane's going fast. It almost looks like helicopter type thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
Dallas is a big place.
yeah. So I believe that's Dallas. I'm not sure, but very interesting nonetheless, because as we'll see coming up, let's go to the next timestamp, which is 4 minutes here. And we are going to Walker's house again. Again. And you can see the 2 flags, the mailbox. So,
Yeah.
Now this time it doesn't look like they're on a bus.
yeah.
Or am I
Yeah.
tripping?
We'll play the next couple seconds. I'm not 100% sure. I think you're right, Rob. It's much slower. You can see the 2 flags there still, the mailbox, the 3 kind of triangle tops of the house. The wind is blowing here. And slow. Look at this slow and zoom in. I mean, this is what he wanted to film. Okay? So now we go through another couple minutes of this. And who wants to guess? I'll put you on the spot, Rob. Where we go next? TS.
Oh yeah, well you got to visit Dealey Plaza, especially in March of '64. I mean, if you're going to Dallas, this is where the action took place. So let's see some footage of Dealey
Rob,
Plaza.
I
What?
actually have something that is in the slides, and I haven't told you guys, Alex and Kenneth, about this yet because I just noticed in the next few seconds, it seems to show the New Orleans, what's that dome, the sports stadium that they have there?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Okay, you're going to see it here. I think he's in New Orleans. It looks like it's Dallas, but 1, 2, 3. The Superdome, where they have the Super Bowls. That looks like New Orleans. But we're going to go to the TSBD right after this. So that makes no sense. And
I don't think the Superdome's that old, Joe.
I don't know. Again,
I don't think it was there in '63.
I don't know.
But the Cowboys did play in 1963.
It could be them too, for sure, because I find it weird it would jump. Let's see. Okay, we're going to get to the TSBD right here. He's on the bus still.
Yeah, we're back on the bus.
There's
There's the-
yeah, that's a historic house.
The oldest house in
near Dealey
America.
Plaza.
With a chimney.
I was looking at this wheel on the bottom left here. It kind of looks like a bus driver's big
Yeah.
little bar thing. So look at how whoever made this film zooms in, had the bus driver stop or they were at traffic. Look at where he zooms in here. And granted, this is 4 or 5 months after, so very plausible, but very interesting. And
Wow.
There's a television camera right there.
Yeah.
there it is. Yeah.
Is that in front of the county records building?
I believe so.
It
I
could
wonder
be.
why it's
Yeah.
pointed there at the school book depository. That's weird.
Yep. And okay, so this right here, hold on. This Jung Hotel is a famous hotel in New Orleans. So now we are in New Orleans, Rob.
Yes. That's the Young Hotel,
Yeah. Yeah.
not the Jung.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Yep, you can see New Orleans, Plaza de Armas, and boom, Rob.
Where are we now, folks? We'll
City
show you in
Hall.
just a second where we are.
The Union must.
Die.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
What and shall be. Huh. I can't
Yeah, very
quite make that out.
So remember the horse, the Andrew Jackson, right, Rob, in the J.T. Martin film?
Yes.
This is that, but John Martin was on the other side of the statue looking away.
Yeah, so he was over there in front of that church-looking building looking towards us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like I said, this is a very famous statue pose of a man on a horse with a horse rearing back. But it is the exact same one.
Yeah.
There's one that resembles it heavily in front of the White House, actually, in Lafayette Park. But really, it could be it's like a twin statue brother, you know. But I'm sure they're all over the place in the South that haven't been torn down yet.
Yeah, probably. But So I went through this whole film. I kind of
Jeff Davis.
Jefferson Davis, the Confederate general, right, and president, and
Yeah, Confederate president.
yeah, this guy, whoever took this video, is extreme right. He goes through. I know Alex mentioned statues. There are a lot of them. He must go through a dozen different statues in Dallas and New Orleans and old houses. So it's very interesting. But this guy is definitely leaning right. And how would you know? You can know to go to Dallas in March of '64, right? Texas School Book Depository. Everyone knew about it. But how would you go to New Orleans and take very similar type of footage of the Martin film had? And
Now, if this dude went to Canal Street after this, that's it. We're done.
he could be. Oh,
Now,
see the statues. I'm skipping here, but see if you see Canal Street. Another one.
see, there's also a park like right across from where 544 Camp Street was in New Orleans that has 3 statues in it, actually.
Could be this. And again, we're not going to play 17 minutes of this.
Which would be interesting because that's where Guy Bannister's offices were
Of course.
in 1963 and in March of '64 until he died.
Yep. And we are back, Rob. Back in the City Hall. At the end, 16 of 17 minutes in, he films it again, just in case he didn't get it the first time. And he is in between City Hall, is back to the statue now.
Now, some folks are asking in the comments, guys,
Yeah,
did you think that this film that you guys found had been edited in any way or spliced together in any way?
So the thing is, yes and no. The thing is, this film, the only reason that it's that long is because it's several rolls of film from the same person spliced together to make it that long. Because a roll of 8mm film was only 4 minutes out of the camera. But this person spliced this film together from several rolls that they took, presumably very close to each other, to give it like almost a storyline, to like present it in a way. Usually people would do it to show their family, but in this instance, I'd say it was to put all this, relevant film together.
Yeah, kind of a vacation reel,
So,
basically.
Not necessarily to edit it in a way to cover up something, but edited in that it wouldn't be that long if it wasn't edited.
Yeah, and we're not talking. You had to be a rocket scientist to splice 8mm film together back in the day. It was cut, snip, tape, and you're good.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of a thought I had on the original Martin film, right? Because you have to admit the odds of going to Walker's house, filming the bullet, which I guess happened in April, right, of '63, and then making it to the fracas, that's a good amount of time difference, right, in the events there. So I have always kind of suspected that maybe the Martin film as we know it now was possibly sliced together. If not, what Rob and I had discovered, and I have a couple slides, I'll talk about it. We came up with a very plausible reason for how we could have gotten both on camera at the same time, but it's still a mystery, and we don't know. We teased last show. We're still trying to find this guy and have him tell us why or what he did, or
It's just so crazy, the odds of the original Martin film of getting, not only the accused assassin of the president, but also the accused shooter of General Walker on the same film as you're also filming General Walker's house about the shooting. The odds of that happening organically are a trillion to 1, Yep. And now, what are the odds of a second film showing up a couple months later and nobody's ever seen the first film yet except the FBI, and it has a lot of the same elements in it as well, or are we just totally off base and this is just they're just hitting the high points of the tourist trade in Dallas and New Orleans? I don't know.
It's possible too.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, and to your point, Rob, let me know if you can see this. This is John T. Martin on the right in 1963. He was a senior at Cretan High School, which was a military school. He was an ROTC, and his description, he's quoting the Bible, plants enter politics, classical music, chess, 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 very conservative Republican, wants to abolish the Supreme Court. And very interesting, because we were able to confirm that this is the actual John T. Martin, because as we will show you, we found the student directory for the University of Minnesota while he was there, and we found his name, John Thomas Martin, in the directory. And the 1752 Englehart address, he's majoring in science and literature and the arts, graduating class of 67, that's right here. That lines up with his 1963 graduation from high school, 4 years. And just to confirm, we have his Minuteman card here on the bottom left, and chess, music, microscopy, think he's majoring in science. And this is his Minuteman card. This is from an FBI document. The bottom right is the same address from his University of Minnesota, and the top senior bio from Cretan Military Academy, chess, it all lines up. He didn't serve under General Walker. He was a student and a fan of General Walker, like Rob was saying. We think he might have gone and visited him and possibly be given another assignment. And whether that was to go see Bannister or go film the commie, of course, we don't know. This is copies of the documents when John T. Martin sent his film into the FBI. So you're talking about the special agent in charge, FBI, Minneapolis and New Orleans. And they're talking about the airtel of the film that John Martin took. As you can see, the same address, 7052 Englehart. Forward to see if the film will be reviewed to determine any value. And about a month later, in January 21st, 1964, the FBI follows up, special agent in charge of Minneapolis. The film obtained by John Martin has been viewed at the New Orleans office and found to contain nothing of value in this case. So we got it back, but we think he didn't get the full original back, and he believed that as well.
Yeah, he believed that his film had been edited by the FBI when he got it back. And there was another film that a teenage boy filmed of the street fracas in New Orleans at the same time John T. Martin was filming his film. That footage was also turned over to the FBI, and they also believed that their film had been edited and to remove some things by the FBI before they got it back. And that thing that they edited out, and I wish I could remember the name of this other family that was filming there, but the last name escapes me right now. But Doyle, yeah, the Doyle family, yeah. They said there was somebody else there with Oswald on Canal Street handing out literature, wearing a I think Oswald was wearing the placard, but there was someone else with him, and that person has been edited out of both films, which is interesting.
Very, yeah. And to what you were talking about, Rob, earlier, we had some slides from the 90s from Martin Shackelford, I believe. Shout out to him. And on the left is his slide, and you can tell it's much clearer. You can see the bullet hole right where my cursor is. And on the right side, that's a 6:4 copy. It is cropped, it is darkened, and it looks like part of the tree almost, right? You can't tell.
Yeah. And that darkened copy, allegedly, is the copy that John T. Martin received back from the HSCA. And that copy has the date on the film of 1977, which is not his original film.
Yep. And this is another side-by-side of the Walker mailbox and the sixth floor copy on the left, also darkened and a little cropped. Just a big difference. And this is
Big difference.
Picture of the slides of the Oswald fracas. You can see Oswald on the left on both sides here. And obviously a difference as well. So that's just some slides that prove that General Walker or John T. Martin was in his house. We did follow up on John T. Martin. He's been donating to Cretan in the past decade-ish a few times. So we believe he's still alive. And this was our guess of, we found a picture of the reunion. This is who we think he is. We don't know. All we want to do is talk to him and get some statement for history purposes. But this was our best guess, Rob.
Yes.
And that is some of the background on the mysterious gentleman that took this.
Because we got some questions, John T. We got some questions. You know, hey, did you talk to Walker? You know, how do you go from the statue of Andrew Jackson all the way back to Canal Street? Because, you know, supposedly the story is he heard a bunch of action going on and rushed over there to film it. But as we showed in our presentation last year at Lancer, it's a good 7 blocks from the statue all the way up to Canal Street. And that's just to Canal Street. That's not up a couple blocks to Canal Street where this happened. So there's no way he could have heard anything that was going on. He had to go there specifically for some reason. And yeah. So that's why we think it's suspect. And then, you know, you come across a diamond in a haystack and find this other movie, guys, that shows just almost the exact same sequence. It's just mind-blowing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys. Keep looking in thrift stores and secondhand pawn shops or wherever you're going and, you know, looking for old film from 1963. You never know what you're going to find, you know?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, the Babushka lady's grandson could have cleaned out her attic and donated it to Goodwill or something. And, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting because in early '64, you wouldn't really know that sequence. The movie didn't come out for decades later, or the film. The documents we showed you in the FBI were internal. They weren't. You couldn't find them on archives.gov or Mary Ferrell, right? Like that didn't exist back then. So I don't know.
Oh, and guys, check this out. This was just released by the Sixth Floor earlier this month. It's footage from NBC5 Dallas. So yeah, check out this clip. Never before seen, except for a couple weeks ago, from the Sixth Floor released it.
General, will you describe for us just what happened last night?
Well, the police from the city came in to investigate a rifle shot that was fired into the house, fired through the west window, and hit the sill and hit the wall across the room and went through the wall over the desk at which I was sitting. This happened at 9 o'clock last night. Well, there's an enemy within this country, and of course it's the same enemy that represents the position that we should do away with the House Un-American Activities Committee, that we should destroy our local police forces, and that we should do away with our military forces. These are the, you might say, the anti-Americans as far as our traditions, heritage, and Constitution are concerned. and there are plenty of them in this country, in spite of the federal government's position that there is no threat from within. There is a threat from within, and this is just further indications that there is a threat to our individual rights and liberties.
What do you propose to do now? Are you going to go out making out your tax reforms at that same desk, or doing work in your house as usual?
The House will continue as usual. There will be no change, except that we'll double our efforts in every area, and this only indicates the necessity for it. It's been interesting to note that as a result of our tour from coast to coast, there's been much response to what's been said on this tour. People are very much interested and quite upset across the land. It's very indicative that they are not being properly represented in Washington, D.C., and deserve a better representation.
So that's crazy, right? A lot of that footage from the inside of his house, and is very, very rare. And if you do find it, it's blurry, old footage. But that's straight from NBC, straight to them, and it actually looks decent. Way better than their version of the Martin film, for sure. So, I guess that's one good thing that the Sixth Floor is doing. Among letting Alex do an oral history there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they charging you to do that, Alex, or do you get to do it for free?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just checking.
That should be great, and it's going to be filmed, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah, for posterity, right? They're going to film you, Alex. Record you.
I froze.
Oh, they're frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen. Well, hopefully they'll get back to us in a second, Joe. In the meantime, let's address some comments. We've got a lot of people watching right now.
We haven't, yes.
And we've been neglecting you for our guests. We apologize. So let's go back here a bit, Joe, and see what all people have been talking about in here.
PSV Odyssey, talking about Mr. Sutherland. He was awesome in Animal House. Totally agree. I think we... let's see. Oh, we have your favorite person here, Rob Clark's Chubby Wing.
Huh.
Thank you, Rob Clark's Chubby Wing.
Yes, my Wang says yes. Thank you.
Hi, South to the West. Hi, Moose. Hi, Roger. Hi, Paula. Hi, Bungled. Hi, Trey. Jack Taylor. Joshua. Tiny Dancer, of course. Colleen, the Rocket Queen. Thank you.
Thank you for the super. And John as well. Thank you for your super. Much appreciated.
Yes.
And I believe there was another one. Yes, Sally. Lovely Sally from across the pond. Dropping some pounds on us, Joe. Thank you,
Jane.
Sally. She
you're-
says they're for bandages, Joe.
Okay. Oh, I saw that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I probably will need them. Let's
Yes.
be real here. But I'm trying to redeem myself. That's what's important, right? I actually saw my friend Vinny in the chat earlier. He's not a JFK guy, but loves to pop in. So hi, Vinny.
Yeah, I see Timothy, Josh, Trey, Uncle Dave's in the house, Tiny Dancer.
Grunge Truck. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of comments.
I know. I think it's awesome that they talk to each other while we're talking. I think that's awesome.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we love being here with the crew on a Friday night talking JFK. Ain't nothing better than that. And, Rob, it's kind of interesting because with the Martin film, like I was saying, the odds of catching those both events would be extraordinarily high. But this movie, it's almost like there were two scenes of the Walker's house, right? He didn't go once, he went twice. He didn't go to the horse in town hall or city hall in New Orleans. He went twice in this video. And it does seem, the Martin film, that some of it was spliced together and or possibly screen recorded. Alex, I think, didn't think so, but it's a possibility for me just because the odds. And was this possibly a trip or a quote mission to get other type of footage for a possible film? But of course, the film indicted Walker, right? The John Martin film didn't indict Walker. It almost made him more sus in a way, right? With this guy coming to visit him and then catching Oswald in the fracas. So that doesn't add up either. So it's really doesn't add up for me. I don't know what to think.
But again, Walker's not on the film. He's ominously not on film.
Yeah.
Why?
And we talked about that, right? If you went down there, if you're John T. Martin, you're a big fan of Walker, you go to his house with a movie camera, you're going to want a selfie of the time, right?
Yeah, and maybe he had a still camera too, and he had somebody take a picture of them. Who knows? But it's just odd that they didn't get him on film together, like shaking his hand or kind of talking, whatever, with no soundtrack.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
But the whole thing's just weird. I mean, this whole second film is just weird. From how they found it in 2018 to what it contains. The whole thing's just weird top to bottom.
I can't agree more. I really don't know what to think about it. And our working theory when we were really studying this changed almost on the week. Oh, wow. It changed on an almost weekly basis here. And it took us a lot of theories that were wrong, and we finally got to what we thought was the most plausible theory. I was emailing with Gary Schoner. He agreed that was the most plausible theory. He, of course, has or claims to have original copy of the Martin film from 1968 when John Martin gave it to him and Harold Weisberg. And, the film didn't come out for, 35 plus years later. And why? And what's the point of it coming out in the mid 2000s? It really makes no sense. And this film, this possible take two, is more interesting. And, this is what I want to address. How do you know it's 1964 and not 1963? Well, Alex and Kenneth transferred the film from whatever millimeter and digitized it. And when they did, on the end, one of the last slides, it said March 1964 as the time date. So that's how we know it was 64. And that's what kind of confuses us even more, because not many people knew this route and the connection of Walker, right? This is, as the Warren Commission is kind of just getting started. So how did someone know to take this route? Is it coincidence? Is it not? Hey, Rob.
Welcome back.
Yes. I was talking, I highlighted Tiny Dancer's comment. How do you know it's 64 not 63? Because it was on the last slide of that 8 or 16 millimeter film. It said March of 64.
Yeah, that and all film is dated as to its manufacture date. Now, that doesn't mean that the film was shot then, but that's when it was made. So I mean, it could have technically been shot 2-3 years later on any date of a year. And the fact that there's a camera in Dealey Plaza pointed to the 6th floor makes me think it's maybe kind of near an anniversary. But the Hertz sign is still on top, of the building. So it had to be in this early-ish to mid-60s, I would say, for sure. But still doesn't change the fact that nobody except the FBI had seen the Martin film.
And maybe some Minutemen. Maybe.
Doubtful.
Maybe. Doubtful. Maybe. But this guy obviously is going to all the kind of Confederate statues, the Southern, Jefferson Davis. I went through almost 20 minutes of this film. It was statue after statue after statue after statue. And he seemed to have some type of knowledge of some route. And sorry, I commented Sally's comment. It looks like the two films are from one film, but cut up and order moved around. It does look very clippy, especially when you go from Dallas to New Orleans. Very strange film. I think I highlighted that before. This is my boy Vinny. What's up? One of my best friends, and love when he pops in. So he says my levels are high, Rob.
Or mine. People said I was low last show, so I tried to up it a little bit. Maybe I upped it too much. I don't know.
No, he's not talking about sound levels. He's talking about like levels of excitement. So if I'm like really excited and like all over the place, you'd be like, wow, your levels are high. If I'm
okay.
One, he'd be like, whoa. I'm like, what's up, man? I'll be like, what's up with your levels? So that's the reference there. But thank you for tuning in, Vinny. And I think it's a right-wing greatest hits film. And that's interesting because the film really indicts the far right. And John T. Martin was a Minuteman. He was, like he said in his Cretan bio, a very conservative Republican. So what benefit does it have to give it to the FBI in December of 1963?
Way to narrow it down, Uncle Dave. Now our time frame's just 1979, Joe. But no, I think with the footage, the style of vehicles going on here that we see, on film, it's definitely from the 60s. Would be my guess. It's just, man, it's one of those odd finds that you just dream about finding in some thrift store or the flea market in Dallas, of these old home movies. But and talking to Kenneth, he's like, that's what he looks for. He looks for old home movies, especially ones that are marked Dallas 63 or Dealey Plaza like this one was. So hopefully they find more of this stuff. 'Cause like I say, dude, you never know what you're going to find in these places. You never know. You're never going to know what's on this film either. And I wanted to show them something before they left. Let me see if I can retrieve it, Joe. I have to. I believe I emailed it to myself.
Sure. And yeah, the last slide on that long Martin film that we played did have a date code of March 64 on one of the slides. I believe the last one is what Alex said. So
yeah,
we are pretty sure it's from then, and everything lines up. It's just the sequence is weird. It's really weird. And how would you know that at that time if you weren't friends with Walker? So
yeah. I saw this next photo that I'm going to show you guys in a Facebook group, and it was presented as though it was an obscure, never before seen picture of Lee Harvey Oswald and Marina.
Ooh.
Now, I can tell you it's not, okay, but it is damn interesting, at least on the Lee Oswald side of things, Joe. So take a look at this.
Oh, wow.
I'm definitely not Marina, okay?
Definitely not. And I'd say it's probably not Lee either. The
Well,
nose.
it's probably not Lee, but damn if that guy don't look like him. You know, he
Where
looks
would-
like a more
where would-
Jewish version of Lee Oswald. You know?
Yeah. Where did you find this again?
It's some Facebook group.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's him, but it's very interesting. And
And I
Yeah.
believe they said they found it at some like secondhand store or something like that. You know, or thumbing through an old, photo book, of their family or something, and they literally thought it was Lee Oswald and Marina. But you never know this. You never know what you can find. It's just crazy. This. At a glance, he's got like the Brock Purdy thing going on, where he slightly resembles Lee Oswald. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Well, I guess their internet shit out. I was hoping they would come back and join us so we could properly thank him for being on the show. But if you're watching us now, Kenneth, Alex, thank you guys for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And they were instrumental in trying to help us find as close to the original Martin film as we could get. Last year when we were looking for it, they were really trying to help us out. Digging through Robert Groden's many storage units and trying to find his copy, and they never could. And it sucks, but it is what it is. Hopefully one day they'll find it, and we'll see if it's better quality or if there's more on it. Because if Groden has a copy of it, Joe, he's saying he got his copy from Weisberg, so he probably would have got it in the early 70s. And it would have been, a Weisberg copy from 1968, one of the earliest copies, straight from JT. So hopefully someday they'll find it.
Yep. And Schoner is still looking in his attic for his 1968 copy. So we wish him luck on that as well. But yeah, it's very interesting with the HSCA. I believe some of the timestamp on the film was like 1977 from the current copy or one of the current copies. I skipped that slide, but we had discussed it earlier on our previous John T. Martin show.
Yeah, and I know Alex will be looking for help there in Dallas. He's going to try to recreate all the various camera and film locations. He's going to be reshooting them using the original cameras and original film and original video cameras, as well as still camera shots, as best that he can. Like recreating the Alchins photo using the camera that Alchins did, recreating the Zapruder film with the same camera Zapruder used, and all these different angles and all this different stuff. So it's a very cool project, and then, putting them all together to see, I think that would be crazy cool, definitely a good, school project for him too, that would definitely earn him some cred, I would think, at school as well. But it's definitely an interesting project. And I know our buddy Mike's volunteered to be Jerry Belknap, the seizure guy already, and Apron Man as well. And who knows? He's very versatile. Mike is. He can play just about anybody. So.
Yeah, and he even wants to write us a book right now on different Dallas sites. He's slightly got incorrect when watching the Martin film. Okay. We like it.
Hey.
We get closer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, it does look more like Robert than it does Lee. I will say that.
Yeah, it's just a weird, I know it's probably neither one of them, and God knows who it's from. It's just one of those things that people back then looked a lot more similar than people do now. There wasn't much variety back then, I don't think. People dressed a certain way, they lived a certain way. There weren't as many different types or dirty. If you had a beard like me, they probably would thought I was a homeless wino back in 1963, and Joe, clean shaven Joe, and his nice clothes over there. His well to do. He probably would have wore a freaking fedora back in the day, and like Jack Ruby, and I could just see it now.
That is funny. I wish I could pull that off. I don't know if I could.
There just wasn't a big variety of haircuts, and glasses looked horrible. They all looked horrible and the same. And,
Yeah. Like the Butch haircut that John T. Martin had. He put it in his high school bio. He said, Butch haircut.
Yeah. The Butch.
Yeah. But yeah, and also Kenneth Robb was super nice because when I went to Lancer last year in November 23, I knew no one. Thankfully, Doug texted me and kind of introduced me to a bunch of people. But Kenneth was extremely helpful in helping facilitate our Lancer conversation. Alex was helpful, and he was working some of the computer slides and another audio visual type of thing. And, hopefully one of us or maybe both of us, if we can convince the Triple B, might be there.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I think it's great that the Zedekers are kind of taking over the Lancer Conference things from Deborah Conway. And, they're a wonderful, very nice, very professional young couple.
Yep.
Who are very interested in doing things the right way and presenting things and not just anything at the Lancer Conference. I think they're keeping the tradition there of being a respected conference very much in the forefront. Yep. And not just having a speaker just to have a speaker, Yep. So kudos to them for the great job they did last year. I believe that was the first time that they were. I know they've been involved behind the scenes in the past, but this was more of their first foray into actually running things. And they did a great job, and I think they're going to continue to do a good job in the future. And I think the Lancer Conference is in good hands. And like I said, if you're thinking about buying tickets, look, support your favorite show. Go down in the description to this video and find the link to assassinationconference.com and use our code Gunman10. It'll save you 10% off any ticket package, whether you buy in-person tickets, online tickets, whether you want to buy a video after the fact ticket or you want to buy a dinner ticket. It all helps out the show and gets you a 10% discount on the ticket prices. So definitely check that out. Joe, you got anything else, my friend?
No, just, we didn't get the chance, but thank you to Alex and Kenneth. Like I said, I met them both at Lancer. Great people. And looking forward to hopefully seeing them again this year and repping TLG and a topic that you'll maybe find out later about.
Oh, hold on. Hold on, Joe. Hold on. Because I almost forgot. So we've been emailing back and forth with a lovely listener. And in talking about the John T. Martin film and what they were doing about things, and how he was going about recording certain events and certain people, brought up the fact that this may have been like an early version of a red cell exercise. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, what is a red cell exercise? Well, it's a government term for National Security Coordination Teams, NSCT. Now, this wasn't officially a thing in our government until 1986, okay? And it was developed by a former, 1984. It was developed by a former SEAL Team 6 member, Richard Marcinko, okay, and came up with an idea for red cell war games, basically, where they demonstrated the vulnerabilities of the military bases and would regularly use such things as false IDs. They would break into fences, barricaded buildings, take hostages, and kidnap high-ranking personnel. Plant bombs near Air Force One, snuck into submarine bases and took them over. Their operations were recorded and subsequently displayed to base personnel to expose vulnerabilities that they should patch. Okay, so these are basically highly advanced, real-world war games done by our government, okay, to expose vulnerabilities at various government facilities, nuclear bases, things like this. So if this red cell team could get in to a nuclear base, you know, and kidnap high-ranking personnel, then that's probably something that they should fix and make sure that this can't happen for real. You know.
I think so.
So the supposition was made that this John T. observation, John T. Martin observation of catching Oswald on film prior to the assassination was some kind of a red cell-ish military exercise for whatever reason.
Infiltration, security.
Which is very interesting to think about. Like I said, it probably wasn't called that back then because it didn't exist yet. But we know the CIA has always done this kind of thing. The military, I'm sure, has always done this kind of thing. To obviously try to minimize any security risks, things like that. So it's very interesting, and there's a podcast out there, and I think it's called the Sean Ryan Show, and he's a former CIA operative, former Special Forces guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually doing red cell activities on the morning of 9/11, and they didn't know whether things were real or fake or what was going on. But, he was talking about one of their missions, one of these red cell missions, was to get close enough to this general, and they had to get a picture of him within a certain distance. And if they did that, it was equal to a gunshot, kill shot. And if they could do that, then obviously security is not what it should be, right? And, he tells these crazy stories about, what all they were doing, how you wouldn't even see your team members for like 4 months at a time. And he told of like belly crawling, over 3 days just to get close enough to this base in civilian clothes. And I think he said he bought some camo from Walmart and found an opening in the fence, to get through. And then barely before the time ran out on this red cell game, he was able to get in there and get a picture of this general leaving the base. Walking from this building to a vehicle. If he would have missed him, then that would have been it. But he got him. And so these red cell games are crazy, what they're doing. And they actually, back in the day, when they said they were kidnapping people off the base, the first ever red cell team, they got in trouble because they actually kidnapped somebody, brought them back to a hotel, and tortured them for 3 days, including almost drowning them in the toilet multiple times, in the bathtub, trying to get him to come off of it top secret information about the base. Well, it turns out the guy wasn't a government employee. He was a contractor, and he ended up suing the government because of what the Red Cell team did to him. But the Red Cell team was allowed to continue to exist. And, even novelist Brad Meltzer, who's wrote a lot of good books. He's had a couple TV shows out there. He writes plots as part of this program. So they use his mind, right, to write various scenarios about how things could be pulled off. He doesn't even have to actually go out and physically do them like a Red Cell team. He can do them in his head and then write them on paper and say, this is possible. How do we stop it? Right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And, who knows? Very
Yeah.
possible.
I think we referred to John T. Martin as a ghost of some sort. And, there were FBI was commie hunting. A lot of people think Oswald was faking to be a communist to draw out other communists. There was so much of this stuff back then. It might not have been called Red Games like Rob had described, but this guy is not on the radar, and we have tried very hard. And we continue to.
Yes, he's still very much on the radar. We still very much have boots on the ground in Minnesota, willing to help us out. So, we're still looking for sure.
Well, thank you, Tiny Dancer.
Yes. Yeah, James Smith says Sean Ryan is my second favorite podcast. I love it too. It's a great show. Not as good as this one, of course. No, surely I jest.
Yeah.
It pwns this one probably. But they have millions and millions and millions of followers, and millions of dollars to do great production. But to hear real life stories about real life CIA operators and special forces guys, that's the show. The Sean Ryan Show. So definitely check it out. Highly recommend it. Very cool. Anything else, Joe? Are we missing?
I just highlighted a comment from Bungold. He said SAS did it at Buckingham Palace all the time. So yeah, that's the same concept, right?
Yep. It's no different than hiring a hacker to try to find vulnerabilities in your computer system of a giant corporation.
Right.
You hire a hacker to keep out the hacker. So, you hire a badass team to keep out other badass teams that could come get you.
Very true. Way too many coincidences, Bungled. I agree. And that's why it's paradox. We are confused here.
Yeah, Trey. The answer is Ghostbusters. Of course. Of course. Let me get him on the line. 1-800. Yes, is this Ghostbusters? Yes, we've got a ghost we need you to find.
John.
Oh, you don't do that? You only bust them once they've been found. Okay, so I got to find them first, then you can bust them? Okay. All right, I got you. All right, thank you. All right, bye. Love you too. Bye.
No hope?
No hope.
We're going to have to do it ourselves. If you want anything done.
Such a sweet lady that answers the phone there, though. Annoying voice, but very sweet.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. Listen to the show so long I can remember downloading it onto my iPod. Homie since day one. Respect.
Wow. Wow.
And Tiny Dancer, things change, but they don't change much. And I think she's referring to red cells and stuff like that. But that was really cool, Rob. Thank you for that little tidbit, and thank you, Tiny Dancer, for sending us an email. The Lone Government Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, I was thinking, Joe, should we start taking listener emails on this show like we do on Quick Hits?
You know what?
And having an email segment?
You know what? I don't know, because we almost have like a live email segment with the chat, right? Like we respond.
True.
And Quick Hits is one, probably my favorite podcast. This one is discluded for that purpose, but it is Quick Hits weekend, is it not, Rob?
It is not.
Oh.
I was informed of some last minute changes. It has been moved to next weekend.
Okay.
Due to elevator problems.
Okay.
Yes.
That happens, but
problems out of my control, sir.
That's okay.
And Doug was not happy about it. But we are reconvening Quick Hits next weekend for sure.
Okay. That sounds good. Well, I think we're about finished up here. Thank you again to Kenneth and Mr. Alex Harris.
Yes, I got a message from them, Joe. Their phone died. Or Alex lost his hotspot or something. Something happened.
Okay.
And
Deep State is after us.
Yeah. And Mike messaged me. He said Turtle Creek is in Uptown, which is slightly north of downtown, kind of on the border, getting into the richer parts of Dallas, like Highland Park and University Park. Multi-million-dollar homes in University Park is home to Southern Methodist University, SMU. So yeah, it's the better part of town, let's say.
Yeah.
Turtle Creek Boulevard.
Yeah. And one last thing, Rob. When I landed in Dallas in November, I asked my Uber or somewhat taxi driver, I was like, what's up with Oak Cliff? Are we passing that? Can we go? Because first time in Dallas, I hadn't been there. He's like, you don't want to go to Oak Cliff.
Yeah, I've heard that Oak Cliff is bad, but like when I went there in 2019, it was fine. Of course, I was in daylight.
Right.
At night, it might be a different story. I don't know.
And
but I'm just walking around by myself, stupid white guy hanging around 10th and Patton, like, hey.
Well, you're lucky them Markham boys weren't after you there, son.
That's right.
Stay
away from Daryl Garner, too. Woo.
Or his kin. They probably wouldn't.
His kin. Daryl's long lost son.
Yes. Let's see. Thank you, Bungled, and thank you to the chat. 50 people in here at once, the same kind of consistent 40 plus. We love you guys. We love hanging out with you on Friday night, talking JFKA. Thank you, Alex and Kenneth, Mr. Triple B.
Yes, thank you again, folks. Again, the link for the Lancer Conference this year is in the description to this show. Just click the little more button and all that crap will pop down. You have links to our locals community, links to the merch store to go get yourself some sweet t-shirts and a hat like this. Right here. Right? And also to go get yourself some delicious, scrumptious Silk City hot sauce. Folks, what you need to do, treat your taste buds. Light them up. Breathe some fire. And thank me for it later. So guys, for Joe Borelli, Alex Harris, and Kenneth Zediker, this has been episode 295. We're almost to 300. Holy shit. Yeah. This has been episode 295 And we thank you very much for hanging out with us, and look forward to doing it again to you and with you on next week.
Yes.
So, pa 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 pa.
Pubble.
Pa 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 pa. Pa 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 pa. Pa 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 pa. Peace.
Have a good
And
weekend,
chicken
everyone.
grease. Yes, have a great weekend. Stay out of the heat. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Don't shrivel up like Gene DeMoran.